All right. This is my Legally Blind Journal number 53. Um, and yeah, it's been an interesting week. Still working on the migraine problems. When I'm doing farm work, as long as I don't try and strain to read or bring something into focus as much as I can anyway, it's not an issue. Now, if I go and try and strain to read, do real heavy focus work, then I can definitely trigger them. I do have some reading tools like we've covered in some of the previous videos, and I use those a lot now for anything. I blow everything up, which has been very, very helpful to avoid, triggering those things. Still struggling at work with it. It's a big, huge draw on there, big push on the eyes, and it's just not. It's just haven't found the right path or the right balance. Maybe that's the word I should use yet. So working on that. The oh Lord, I guess my spouse had pointed out the other day that my eyes aren't lined up anymore. They're not tracking right. So if you're not listening to the podcast and you're watching this, that's it's basically one of the changes that has happened, I guess, over time. They're not both straight on anymore, which is interesting. I don't know why it does that, but with going blind, but I'm certainly not that worried to go research it. It ain't like it changes anything to know the answer. But so there's that going on, and then everything else has been pretty good. Been working on trying to do things that don't blow my head up, like working with the goats, and been working with the chickens. They guess it takes about a month for them to get comfortable to start laying again, so that's interesting, but that's been fun. That's definitely helps with the stress situation, because the other thing you're supposed to do is manage your stress down, and so trying to take steps to manage stress down so I don't lose my vision faster than it has to. And that's one area of my life that I probably am not doing the best on. So I need to put some focus on that and try and allocate the resources needed to reduce the stress. So working on trying to identify those things so that I can knock back these migraine days, a number of them, and safeguard as much of my vision as I possibly can. As I mentioned in a previous video, I'm about 10-ish of reading, if it's big enough. Luckily, the peripheral, as of this morning, still hasn't gone down more than it already had. And when I say ish, it's because it's not in focus. It's in and out of focus at that number. It's not perfect, but hey, I'll take it. At any rate, beyond that, I will say for me, going to the stores and stuff is takes a lot of work, and so if I'm given an option of going into a grocery store or just sit in the car, I'm just sitting in the car, and it's not a matter of can't or any kind of depressive thought or any of that stuff. It's simply the juice ain't worth the squeeze for me. Because when I go into a store, man, I come out and I'm exhausted because the amount of work it takes to navigate the store, and it normally does trigger the migraines with all of the overstimulation, and you can't avoid your eyes trying to focus on things in that place. But the juice just isn't worth the squeeze to walk around the store. You know what I mean? Not for me. Not to say that I can't. I do it when I need to. Go into Tractor Supply and grab something. I'll do that, or the Ace Hardware or whatever. But one thing that I will say I've gotten much more comfortable with, and I would encourage anybody going through this, get your head around it and get comfortable with it, is, man, asking for help. I walk into the hardware store now, and our local one always has a couple people standing in the spot to answer questions or do whatever. And I go straight to them. I'm like, here's what I need. And they've gotten to know me. So they know, and they just go either get it for me or they walk me back there, depending on, what we're talking about. And that helps a lot to not have triggered migraines, not have additional stress, and that took a while for me to get my head around, being okay with, rather than fumbling around trying to find crap. And I would say, it's, I don't think it was a pride issue. I was going to say pride comes before the fall, but I don't think it was a pride issue. You don't want to be a burden on anybody, and you got to get your head around that one. And let me tell you, it's a game changer once you get to the point to where you just go to customer service. If you're in like a bigger store, like a Lowe's or something, and look, I'm visually impaired. I'm gonna need some help finding a few items, and they'll do it. They'll get somebody. And my local stores, I don't have to do that now. I walk in the door and they know, and they're all okay with it. So that's the part that I would say that you got to get comfortable with, and it does help. And it makes the trip to the store not so bloody exhausting. And so I would highly encourage, if you're somebody who isn't used to asking for that kind of a help or whatnot, you're not giving up independence to ask for the help. You're getting out of the store without being exhausted. If you're me, you're getting out without triggering massive headaches. And you're just making it a better experience for you. And, quite frankly, I think it's a better experience for others sometimes, because they feel good about helping, and that's a good thing. Earlier on in my journey, I didn't do that, and I still had enough vision to where I could fumble around and get there and get it. Now it's, for me to find the proper size bolt or nut it's work. I mean, it is straight up work, using magnification stuff, feeling. If I'm going to try and read it, it's literally the box is touching my nose. And it's just so much easier on everybody just for me to say, hey, I'm looking for, XYZ. Would you mind please helping me out? I'm visually impaired, and it's super hard for me to find it. And, I haven't had anybody tell me no. In fact, most people are become a little too helpful. And so that's where you got to give grace, because they don't know where your limits are, So then they're trying to guide you, or they're opening doors for you and things like that, because they just don't know where your lines are. And so originally I was, doing some corrective conversation. Oh, I can do that part. I can't do this. And then I realized they're just trying. They're feeling good about what they did today, helping this person who couldn't see. So just let them do what they want to do. I've had them literally take my bags and walk them all the way to the vehicle. And what color is your car, and guide me to the car. Can I find the Jeep? Yeah, I can find the Jeep. It's probably the only electric vehicle in my very small county. So I can hear the difference in the Jeep. It's also bright freaking blue, so I can see color differentials at an okay distance. I mean, it gets, at some point I can't, but I can tell the chair behind me has a black and a blue contrast, so I can find a color differential in a parking lot normally. Now, I will say, if the vehicle's parked in the back of the parking lot from the store, at that distance, I can't pick it out. So I got to get about halfway down the parking lot before I can start picking out colors. So, I do keep that in mind. Like if we go to, say, a Walmart, and the vehicle is going to be parked significant different distance away, now I got to figure out landmarks, or I got to figure out what direction of travel I took, what lane we might have been in, because I'm not going to be able to find it from the store. Trying to find the color at that distance. It's not going to happen. But most places we park, I can see the color differential. I can hear the electric hybrid engine and the way the Jeep sounds. The Jeep is a very unique sound. And a lot of times I'll literally follow the sound first, which is kind of interesting that's started. But, people generally are pretty helpful if you ask. Yes, sometimes they get too helpful, but it's because they're trying and they don't know. So give them some grace and just from my perspective, don't change it. Don't unless they ask, I don't try and modify what they're doing. I just roll with it and be appreciative that they wanted to help somebody. So that's kind of what I'm working through right now, is still working on trying to get the migraines under control during the work week. Definitely got to work on getting the stress levels under control, which I'm working through some things to get that done. And then, again, just trying to just give everybody more grace, myself included, in all those situations. And I think that all helps deal with, the situation in the best way you possibly can. And then, lastly, if you can, get a goat and a chicken and hug them, man. It'll take some stress off, I promise you. All right. Y'all be good out there. Till next time.